Hey friends, welcome to the channel. Today I'm really excited because I'm going to give you a van tour. So let's get started. Okay, I'd like to introduce everybody to Betty White. Betty is my 2023 Honda Odyssey sport model. She is a V6, so she is a powerful lady. And I'm really super grateful to have her. Let's start in the front cabin. Now, this video will show you how Betty looks when I am not traveling. I am a part-timer. I'm not traveling right now, but I thought it'd be a good idea to show a video of how she looks when I'm not traveling. So, in the front here, there are some things that I keep in here all the time. I have a microfiber towel, hand lotion, hand sanitizer, a flashlight, and pepper gel spray. Down here, I keep my skeeter beater, and I keep my front window screens. I think I'm going to do a separate video about window coverings and things like that so that I can show them to you in more detail. There's also a little bit of Windex in that jar so that I can clean the inside of the front window, which can sometimes, of course, get dirty. In the front, I haven't done much. There's the old center console. You know, you keep the usuals in there, some extra glasses, phone, charging cord, and things like that. I do have a small trash can. That's not my, trash can for when I'm cooking and things like that. It's just for things if I'm driving and, have a little bit of trash. The other thing that I have down in front here, and it actually fits really, really, really well, is my Hot Logic. Hot Logic. This is a really great cooking tool. I think I'm going to do another video about how I cook so I can tell you more about the different tools that I use. But a Hot Logic is basically a hot plate. You can put a frozen dinner in there or a Tupperware container of something that's cold or frozen and plug it into the 12 volt. Hour or so later, you have a hot meal. So I keep the Hot Logic here because sometimes when I'm driving, when I'm traveling, I will be cooking a lunch or a dinner and it fits perfectly right there under the console. Let me go around to the other side and I'll show you what I have on the passenger side. So this area, if you're a single or solo traveler, can be very valuable. And I'm going to do another video because I am taking a trip in a couple weeks where I'm going to show you what she looks like when she's loaded up. But when I'm not traveling, this is how she looks. This is what's called a pet mat from Walmart, I think it was. I like it because it somewhat contains spills and things like that. I have spilled coffee here before, so forgive that. But this I keep, just to protect the front seat. Here I have a small cargo net, and in there I have napkins. I could put my water bottle or iced coffee, things like that. Up here I have a small car organizer that I got from Amazon. I find these front pockets very handy for extra glasses, pens, things like that, and another bottle of water. But this turns out to be really convenient. One other thing of note here in the front is under this pet mat, I have a piece of plywood. It's kind of left over from my floor project, but it helps to make the seat somewhat more flat and level. And underneath, I keep my maps. So that makes it very handy. When I am traveling, I usually put my water containers here and extra shoes. You'll see that again in a future video when I do a video of her being loaded up. I did put, I had an exercise mat that I cut up, and so I put a piece here, again, just to maybe protect from spills or things like that. And this weird little thing that you see here is actually a contraption that helps you clean the front windows, because these windshields are really at a crazy angle, and so having that there can help me to clean the front window. Really important to have things in a convenient place where you can grab them easily. All right, let's show you the back. So here's the back, and I'm going to go over a few things here. One of my main considerations is I definitely like to be able to get into my van from either side. That's why I've chosen to not have, you know, like my bed obstructing one of the doors. I don't know, maybe it's a safety thing, but depending on where I am and what's going on around me, I can get into the van from either side. Neither of the doors are obstructed. You have a basic plywood floor here, and I think I'm going to do a separate video on the floor, because when I first got my van, the thing I was most confused about and how to make was the floor, how to get it level and all of those things. And as we know, at least the Honda Odyssey, the floor is not flat, nowhere near flat. So certain things had to be constructed to make it more flat. But anyway, here's my floor. And because, again, of the way the Honda Odyssey floors are, there is space underneath. And so I have a kind of a wooden box here. It's got bungees and extra grocery bags and things that can slide under there, which is really convenient. Also, right here is where I store my front windshield WeatherTech shade. It's big, and when you're thinking of where's this thing gonna sit when I'm driving, I came up with putting it back here. Behind the seat is another kind of car organizer, and in this I keep a kind of container here for like gray water if you're brushing your teeth and you need to spit into it. So that's what this is for. Here I have Dr. Bronner's soap and vinegar. That's for, you know, washing dishes and washing hands and things like that. In here's just some towels. Over here, this is the bottle end of something called a Lunatech. Very interesting. It's what I came up with. It's kind of a faucet. I can heat water, because I like to wash my hands with hot or warm water, put it in there, and then it has this attachment where you can kind of get a fine spray of water. And then I, you know, use that to wet my hands and then wash them off. And I use a collapsible sink as my sink. As you'll see, I don't have a separate kind of sink setup in here. So I have a collapsible sink that I pull out and then put it back. Behind the passenger seat, I have what's called a Molle panel, M-O-L-L-E, Molle panel. It's soft-sided panel, and attached to it in this bag here, I keep toilet paper, wipes, paper towel, toilet paper and wipes, and for lack of a better word, poop bags. I used to have a dog. He passed away some years ago, but we called them poop bags. So whether he's pooping in them or I am, they're poop bags. So all of that is like bathroom stuff. Speaking of going to the bathroom, also behind the driver's seat here, under this car organizer, is my toilet. I know a lot of people have a toilet that's permanently set up. That doesn't work for me. I'd rather have the room. So That's one of those standard kind of has the levels, and you can, put it up, and then it's collapsible, so it sits behind there. And then back over here in these pockets at the bottom of this molly panel, I keep spare grocery bags. They're kind of our best friend when it comes to trash and things like that. Behind the molly panel is the back scratcher. There's nothing worse than driving down the road and your back itches, and so it's very convenient because I can just grab it and scratch my back. And then next to that is handheld vacuum. Again, indispensable. Gotta have one of those. So I keep that behind there. And in setting all this up, I really went for things have to be in reach and convenient to get to, because there's nothing worse than you need something and you got to dig it out. Finally, behind the driver's side headrest and behind the passenger side headrest are these small molly panels. Again, it's just kind of a plastic piece that straps around the headrest. And then connected on this side, I have a bag. It's housed different things. Since I got Betty, right now it's actually empty in the pouch, but on the side, very important, is my spork and scissors. Again, very convenient to grab, to put back. Sometimes, you're driving and you want to eat something or you need to cut something, so those are always right there. And in the molly panel on the passenger side is another pouch. In there I keep clips, small bungees. I have some magnets in there. So again, just stuff that you might need to have. Over here you see my curtains that go across here. I'm going to do another video about that because that was a whole project in and of itself. But for now, there's just my curtains. And I have a coat hook that I can put my coat on and things like that. So I don't have to fold it up. I can just kind of hang it there. And since when I'm traveling, there's nobody in the passenger seat, it can kind of sit over there. All right, the floor here, as I said, I think I'll do another video specifically about how I did the floor, because it's a whole project in and of itself. But as you can see back here, this is actually kind of a new addition. I have an extension of the floor and with a piano hinge, which is really convenient because sometimes you need to get into the trunk. Right now, there's nothing in it. Again, this is a video about how Betty looks when I'm not traveling. But I'm going to do another video because I'm going out of town in about a month on a trip. I'll do another video showing how she looks when she's packed up. But for now, very convenient, extends the floor. And it's just held here with a little piece of wire that's connected to my table. And over here is another shelf that I have that is also on a piano hinge so that I can get into that side of the trunk, or some people call it the garage area. Put stuff in there and then it can go down, and then other stuff can go on this shelf. So really convenient way to still have access to the trunk or garage area, but also then can utilize, the top part. Over here, the famous behind the third row seat here in this area here, I was always so fascinated when I got Betty about what you can do with that space, because there is space there, and how do you utilize it? I've tried a few different things, but I'm really happy with what I've finally settled on. And these are shelves that I made. I bought this pretty thin wood. It's probably only a 1/4 inch wood. I think they call it like hobby wood for maybe small woodworking projects. But I bought it in, I think they were 3-foot long pieces. And then with my handy dandy jigsaw, I trimmed the sides. And then there are brackets inside that hold a second piece of wood underneath. And this is Velcroed in, heavy duty Velcro. It is not, there are no screws into the van itself. So this top shelf right now just has my toiletries bag, but when I'm traveling, I'll usually put my iPad here and maybe a book or a journal. And then this bottom row is kind of like your nightstand. Right now it has a couple of my lights. I might make another video about my lights because again, lighting is a whole topic in and of itself, and I finally have found some lights that I really enjoy. And then there's a little glass jar, 2 of them, Velcroed to the bottom of the shelf. And there's lotion, and when I'm traveling, my toothbrush and toothpaste go in here, and dental floss and things like that. And at night, I can put, you know, a little bottle of water there. And also, you always want to have a good spot for your keys where you can get them easily. So there's a little hook here. I actually took a screw out that was in there and put in this hook, and so I hook my keys right there. My bed does go right here. And again, I'll do another video of how she looks when she's loaded up for a trip. But nightstand area, toiletries bag, iPad, book, stuff like that. And these shelves I made myself. And again, they're Velcroed in there. They're not screwed into the van. And then this little piece of metal here just supports this upper shelf. And I had it from something else left over and it fit in there perfectly, and this is really stable. Stuff has never fallen. All right, maybe what I am most proud of in all of Betty is my table here. And again, I might do a separate video just about this because I was always fascinated by if people had a shelf or a cupboard or what. But this is what I finally came up with. This table, the legs are made out of 4 what are called slotted angles. They are pieces of metal, and a key part of this is the holes that are in here. Because of that, you're able to attach more things, which makes it super convenient. So these 4 slotted angles. And then what I've used are 2 shelves, cabinet shelves that I bought. They are separated by just enough space for small Target or Walmart little baskets. Usually I have here like my charging cords, salt, pepper, other utensils. This one's empty right now, but when I'm traveling, it usually has food. And then I could put a 4th one here, but right now there's just some curtains that I use to cover my back window. Again, I think I'm going to do another van about window coverings because, again, it was something that I was super interested in, and maybe it would help someone else if I did another video with more info about that. Now, under here, under the table, is where when I'm traveling, I have my 20 quart or 20 liter Alpicool fridge and my power bank. So the power bank sits on this little kind of shelf I made, which raises it up so that the front of the power bank, it's accessible. You know, where you can plug stuff in, and your 12 volt where you can put stuff in. What I found is if my power bank was just on the floor, then some of the plugs were not accessible from the front. So that's why I actually built this little shelf to raise it up a little bit. And the fridge and the power bank fit right there. Currently, I have 3 power banks, 3 1,000 watt power banks. I think it would be a good idea, maybe if I made another video about why I chose that, why 3 and not just one big one. Partially it's space, partially it's weight, but maybe I'll make another video about that. Attached to the front of the table is this little box, and I think I got this at a thrift store, but what this has really become handy for when I'm traveling is to put my shoes in there. When I'm not traveling, it can either be empty or just kind of a catch-all. Right now, it does have a piece of felt in the bottom. Felt makes things quieter when you're driving. I think felt and bungees and Velcro are your best friend, but it's just a little wooden box, and again, it holds my shoes. It's important to have things accessible, you know, so you can grab them quickly at night or something like that if you need to. On top of this table, which, what do I use it for? I can put my stove up here. I don't usually cook up here. I usually cook on the floor. But, you know, it can just hold things, iPad to watch TV, or hold my stove when I'm not using it, things like that when I'm kind of parked and settled for the night. And then one of the newer items that I just recently installed is this. It's not perfect. It's actually made of 2 pieces of wood glued together with dowel as the kind of lip on this. But this is magnetized. So it's magnetized. So, and why did I do that instead of having a fixed shelf here? Well, I did that so that I could lift it out and I could get to this area here, which is again the other side of the 3rd row, kind of where you'd put your elbows if you were a passenger in the 3rd row. I do have another shelf that I built just like the one on the other side. You can maybe see it better if you look at it from underneath. This hobby board, and again with brackets to another piece here, velcroed in. But when I remove that magnetized shelf, I can put stuff down in here. Right now, all that's in here is a damp rid, you know, to kind of gather condensation. But when I'm traveling, I could put extra food in there or clothes or anything like that. And to kind of stabilize the shelf, here's some more, just another piece of wood, again, velcroed, not drilled into the car, just velcroed there. And so then put the table back in, magnetized. And it's pretty stable. It doesn't rattle or anything when I'm driving. So you might ask, well, what do you put on the shelf? I have a basket that holds my stove, my tea kettle, and a pot, so that when I'm stopped, if I'm going to cook, it's easily accessible here. And then finally back here, this is a wire basket, and it holds a 2.5 gallon bucket with what's called a gamma lid. Gamma lid is a smell-proof lid, and so I can put my trash in there, or poop bags. And the coolest thing about a gamma lid is that it's smell-proof. You cannot smell it. So any food trash from cooking or things like that, put it in a bag, put it inside there, you're good for the night, and then you get to a place where you can ethically and legally dispose of trash. And this wire basket is attached to a shelf here that I made, and that shelf is attached to, again, the table. Again, the benefit of having these slotted angles is you can attach things. These is just a bolt and a wing nut. A bolt and a wing nut, which attaches this shelf, and there's a bracket. You can see here, there's a bracket supporting the shelf, and then the bracket with a bolt and a wing nut on the other side. That's also how I attach this box in the front. There's a bolt and just a wing nut. So the wing nuts have turned out to be just fantastic. And brackets for the shelf, bracket to support the shelf. Let me show you under here. You can see there's a bracket there. And then with, again, a screw and a wing nut to support these cabinet shelves, to support this back shelf, even to support this lower shelf here. You can see there's a bracket there with a bolt and a wing nut. So the key again to this whole table setup is these slotted angles that have all of these holes in them, and then you can use bolts and wing nuts. I've also bungeed this basket to, you know, just reduce the vibration and stuff like that. Let's see what else. Couple other things. So there was this YouTube person who had these like metal rails, and I thought it was really a fantastic idea to have kind of like a rail system. These are large size dowels, wooden dowels, painted black. And the great thing about them is that you can attach your fan to it. Trying to do this while filming, not easy, but you can attach your fan to it. These wooden dowels, I believe, they're either 3 or 4 feet long, and they are zip tied in. On this end, it's zip tied to, I always heard it called the oh crap bar that you grab, you know, if someone's driving really crazy. So the dowel is zip tied to the oh crap bar over here, and it comes out to here, so it room to clamp a fan here or clamp the fan here. And then in the front, these dowels, I don't know if you can see them, but they're bungeed to the front oh crap bar, and it just gives you a rail system where you can hang things, hang a light, hang a fan, whatever. So I have those on both sides, and they've turned out to be really, really useful. And finally, saw this on YouTube, didn't think of it myself, on the roof here. So, you know, it's all about utilizing all of the space that you possibly can, right? So I saw this, this is like a closet shelf. I just bought it at Lowe's, 3 feet long. And then it is zip tied and some Velcro straps to the top. And that ends up producing room up here. Amazing, right? So what do I store up there? I store my window coverings, my WeatherTech window coverings for the second row seats in the back. I store my collapsible sink up here. And I also store, I believe this is a quarter sheet pan. And when I'm cooking, I put down the quarter sheet pan, and then I put my stove on top of it, obviously, because it'll help, you know, if something's burning and falls, it'll fall onto this. And then when I'm done cooking, I put my stove away, and I can put the sheet pan back up top. Important considerations here: it wasn't so low that it would obstruct my view in the rear view mirror, but that there was enough room that I could utilize some space up here. Again, collapsible sink, quarter sheet pan, and window coverings. I thought it was brilliant. I'm really happy with this. And then finally, I had an extra little cargo net, and so I zip tied it to the shelf here, and then I usually put my clothes for the next day. So when I go to bed, I have my clothes for the next day, and I can just sit up, grab my clothes, and get dressed. So that's pretty much it. Let me get out and just show you how it looks from the trunk side in case you want to see that, and then we'll be done for today. So here's a view of Betty from the trunk side. And as I mentioned, there's 2 shelves that are on piano hinges. And again, this one, when my bed is deployed, it comes all the way to the back here. But when my bed is not deployed, this shelf can fold over. And then there's a second shelf here, which is also on a piano hinge, so it can fold up. Now, right now, again, I'm not traveling, so all I really have in here right now is I have a footstool that I use when I wash the car, and a few extra scraps from creating the floor. But I just want to say, what do I usually put in here when I'm traveling? Well, first I have a rolling cart that comes in very handy. When I'm traveling, I stay with friends, or sometimes I have a hotel, and I can use that cart to tow in my power bank if I need to plug it into the wall and things like that. So a rolling cart. And then on this side, as I mentioned, I have 3 power banks. So usually the 2 extras are stowed in here, and then this can fold down and I can put more stuff here, clothes or power cords, things like that. All right. Okay, I think that'll do it for today and my van tour of Betty White. Really grateful to have her. We've been on some great adventures, and we're going to be on many more. I have a lot of ideas for future videos. I would love to share what I've done with Betty because it might help somebody else. All right? Take care, and we'll see you next time.